All right, guys, here we go. Get me up on that screen there so I can see how I'm looking there. We got that crawl perfect. There it is, the Mr. Josh podcast. We are live. We are in episode number 17. We are making our way quickly to number 20, getting back in the studio and doing things right here. So it's good to be back. Space Coast Podcast Studios. We're going to move quickly along here. We got a little bit of a late start. I am in sunny Central Florida, and our little cold snap went and came and went, didn't it, Jesse? Jesse is my confidant, my pal, my engineer.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be getting a really nice cold front now for the holiday.
Are we?
Supposed to be high of 47 on Christmas. High of 47.
High of 47.
Yeah.
And there's our little banner here. Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas. This is some of what we're going to go over. We're stopping the steal still. We're still stopping this steal. And obviously the Mr. Josh podcast. We got vaccine talk, and January 6th. What's the significance? What is the significance of January 6th? Okay, so it's very significant. The whole election may hinge on that date. So here we go. Yes, turtleneck. Actually, it's not. It's a jacket. I'm going live here. We'll go live. Just kill it. We'll go live. I'm going live right here on my laptop. We got a camera here. We got a camera here. Let's get right to it. So, COVID mania. COVID mania is ramping up right now. There is so much COVID news right in time for the new year, right in time for the holidays, that it really would make your head spin. Right off the bat, all elective surgeries seem like they're not going to be scheduled. Anybody that has any other serious conditions is in a lot of trouble. God bless you. I pray for you how you're going to get help when they're calling off a lot of stuff. New York City, I just came across all elective surgeries are off the table. So at this point, we've got one vaccine in the United States that is readily being given out, and that is the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine. And we've already getting our little controversy with that. Before we get to Fauci, if you can pull up, I'd like to get these faintings out of the way first. So one woman was just got the vaccine, and I think it was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So go to nurse faints, the other one there. Yeah, check that one. And let's take a look real quick. This is the only one that happened on air, folks. And let's take a look at what happened when this nurse, it's a quick little news report from a local Fox affiliate. And let's take a look and see. And if you're on the live, you're not going to be able to see this, and that's okay. But what do we got here, Jesse?
While we're seeing different reactions to the vaccine, a lot of people talking about this one. Take a look. One nurse in Tennessee fainted on a live broadcast after getting the Pfizer shot. Doctors say it's not uncommon for people to have that reaction, and minutes later, she was back on her feet. That nurse says she feels confident that her vaccine was done safely and correctly.
So, thank you. It was done safely and correctly. I don't think anybody's debating whether it was done safely and correctly. They're debating what's in the vaccine. So it's kind of funny, that little spin, if you caught that. It was like, I don't think anyone thought that they threw it at her like a dart, you know what I mean? Or any other kind of unsafe way that was done. So that's a little strange. Okay, and then let's jump to this story. Another healthcare worker rushed to the ER. Now, this was on NBC Nightly News. How did they downplay this?
Juneau, Alaska, 10 minutes after receiving the Pfizer vaccine yesterday, a healthcare worker rushed to the ER with a severe rash and shortness of breath.
Her heart rate was elevated, and she had a red flushed rash over her face and torso. I was concerned about an anaphylactic reaction, so gave her the standard treatment of a dose of intramuscular epinephrine, and she responded immediately.
After a night in the ICU receiving more medications, she's stable now. Doctors say she had no known previous allergies, unlike two people in the UK who also developed severe allergic reactions.
It's way more than this.
Caution from Dr. Fauci.
If you have a history of a severe allergic reaction, you should either not take this vaccine, or if you do take it, take it in the context of a place where if you do develop an allergic reaction, it could be readily and effectively treated.
So go to the
tens
hospital.
Of thousands of medical workers have already been vaccinated.
All right, thank you.
This week.
You can kill that. So at the end of the day, even healthcare workers are getting this. It's not necessarily very safe. Folks, the MODERNA vaccine just is right about around the corner with FDA approval. The MODERNA vaccine is the Bill Gates vaccine. That's the big daddy. That's the one everyone needs to be really concerned with. I'm not entirely sure. Jesse, you might know this perhaps, but I don't know if you're going to even have a choice. When you go to get vaccinated, are you going to be able to say you want a specific manufacturer, or they just, hey, we got what we got, and you just get what you get?
Yeah. Sorry.
Get on there.
I wasn't. I can only assume that there is just going to be a generic. You know, they're not going to tell you whether it's a Pfizer or Moderna. You know,
so you won't even have a choice.
Yeah, I highly doubt if listen, we're getting it for free.
Right.
You know, maybe if you want to get your insurance involved and have them pay for the designer version, you know.
Right. Well, that's true. I mean, who knows what the designer is? So we'll get to Fauci actually did something very special that we're going to get to see. This is a magical thing. But how about that folks were getting Bell's palsy when this was unraveled? Not exactly something that anybody wants when your face starts to freeze, typically on one side of it. So you're getting a lot of adverse reactions. It's definitely being underreported. Then there's also we're wondering why we're seeing some fake inoculations on TV. It seems like it's gone around, and they're already trying to disprove it. Nancy Pelosi got a fake jab. They like calling it the jab. I think we went over that another one on another show. You got to give it a cutesy little term. So you got the jab, and Nancy Pelosi seems to have gotten one that had a cap on it. Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, seems to have one with a cap on it. But one person who didn't was Mike Pence. And I heard Alex Jones bring this up, and it was pretty fascinating that Mike Pence, who's a pro-lifer, there are baby parts in vaccines. So for Mike Pence to have, and didn't Mike Pence already have COVID and should have developed antibodies? I'm not exactly sure. Why did Mike Pence get this vaccine?
Oh, it's just for confidence. It's just for show. It's all theater.
Right.
All political theater.
I don't think Trump's going to get it for any political theater. I think he already would have. So he's relying, obviously, on the fact that he had COVID. And put it this way, if Trump was going to take that vaccine, he already would have. I don't see that happening.
Or they wouldn't disclose it, I don't think. I don't think they would make it.
He wouldn't do it on air.
Right.
Right. I'm surprised he's not getting more heat for that, because he's gotten heat for so many other things. So we're seeing fake shots. And then the one that was easily the most egregious fake shot was the one that they gave to a healthcare worker. I'm not sure what it is. You can YouTube this if it's still up there. It's probably not. But this one they stuck him with the needle, but the needle there was no material in it. And the plunger was already pushed all the way down already. So when they zoom in on it and his guy's got it in his arm, he's already just fiddling around with his thumb on the plunger. The plunger's already pushed in. There's nothing to push in this guy's arm because nothing's going in this guy's arm. You know what I mean? I got to tell you, this is why we have conspiracy theories. This is why people are not trusting. I was looking at the numbers the other day, the poll numbers on who's going to take this vaccine and what percentages. And while the numbers are going up as they keep drilling it into people, the numbers are actually very low. People that say they're going to do it ASAP is in like the 30% range, if I'm not sure. And that was up 13%. The only people that are like steady in favor of this in a serious way are the elderly. And even that number is not over 50%. There is no group that's in a rush to do this. But what we are coming to find out, which is also very, very, very bizarre, and Tucker Carlson did a whole feature on this to start a show, was the politicization of who's going to get this vaccine. So get ready to understand that whether you want it or not, there's a pecking order here, and it's not just the rich or the famous. We already know. I can't believe people complain about that still. Like, oh, they're rich. They're going to get it first. Everyone rich gets everything first. And anybody who's a celebrity of any kind is going to get preferential treatment. I mean, that's kind of silly to even sit here and to get butthurt over. We know that. You know what I mean? That they're getting the seat at the restaurant over you. I mean, come on, man. Not that it's right or wrong, but you can't be surprised by that. But what you can be surprised is that they are not going to be giving this vaccine. I don't know if you heard this, Jesse. And I didn't even bother pulling it up, but anybody can look this up. So the elderly, who they've told us are the most in need and the ones who are the most at risk here, are not even the priority. And there was a woman who had a very interesting quote, and she basically, in so many words, said that the elderly are disproportionately white, and therefore they've had a charmed life and have lived longer. And so they want to give this out to black and brown people, for lack of another term, people of color, not Asian, not Indian, not other people of color that are never included in that group, but people of color are going to be the preferential guinea pig, which is also kind of like they're patting them on the back saying like, hey, you're going to be the ones that get this first. You're preferential, when in fact you're the guinea pig for it. I would be running from anyone that's trying to give it to me so quickly and easily. But they won't. They'll be online, and just like the sheep, they'll get their sticks. And all of these elderly people, imagine, that needed it the most, are going to be second fiddle to people of color. That is disgusting. Welcome to the United States. That's under Trump's watch. He has nothing he can do about that. But that is absolutely sad that this could be politicized along racial lines. And that is what it is. It is being done among racial lines. Very scary. We've also now caught Dr. Birx. I don't know if you saw. So other than Gavin Newsom, other than Nancy Pelosi, other than Maxine Waters, other than Chris Cuomo, other than Andrew Cuomo, everybody's getting caught not wearing their masks or doing what they want and not what they say. Well, the newest one is Dr. Birx, our favorite scarf-wearing doctor who basically more Gestapo tactics coming from this medical tyranny machine. Dr. Birx was caught. Not only was she not playing by the rules, but I think she had like 3 generations of family that got together in Delaware for the holidays or whatnot. And I'm not against that. I'm all for that. Get together and have a great time. Don't wear your mask. You're gonna be fine. Your family's fine. I think you're gonna be okay, but you can't tell everyone else what to do and then govern yourself in a completely different manner. And that is what she did. Another hypocrite, another liar. And I think when I was even researching this, she's talking about that she's going to retire and probably get out of the way. Another problem was in Australia, the government decided to stop giving out their vaccine. They only had one approved vaccine at this point, which was through an Australian manufacturer. So they were trying to keep it, in the family. And it started turning out that, and they say they were false positives, but that there were false positives for HIV was showing up. Did you hear this in Australia?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty bad.
And they're swearing that the people they don't have HIV, but they're showing up as false positives. Now, I had heard that if you believe in any way that this is man-made or a bioweapon, if you believe that this is kind of split into 5 kind of pieces of a pie in its danger quotient, and that HIV is part of one of the splices. And it's kind of bizarre that with that knowledge that you're doing this with people of color who are obviously, they keep telling you that people of color are at more risk for COVID and that they die at a more abnormal rate. Well, it's interesting because that's the same thing with HIV, isn't it? Very, very strange. Black folks and Latin folks don't have the same genetics as white folks, and they handle HIV a lot differently. That is not an opinion. That is science. And the rates are very different in how it affects and what your life expectancy is. God forbid that this is something that happens to you. So even in Australia, they had to halt production, and they're going with another company. Now they're going to make an outside purchase. We've also gotten misinformation in Florida, speaking of our backyard here. So Ron DeSantis comes out and says, well, Pfizer is withholding vaccines coming into the state. And Pfizer comes back and says, absolutely not, we're not. Matter of fact, we're sitting on millions of vaccines that we can't even distribute. So imagine that. I mean, go research how many vaccines are not even being given out yet. And that's besides the fact that what was supposed to be 100 million is 50 million. And right off the bat, you're not even getting a full amount of the vaccines being given out to the people. So there's that too. So now tying, I think that pretty much covers a lot of the vaccine bullshit. But here's a funny, sad video. Jesse, cue up Dr. Fauci, our favorite little man mouse. He's going to tell, this is a fun little video. It's only a minute long. And try not to get too weepy or cry. This is very sappy. Let's see what little kids think about Santa and the vaccine and what Dr. Fauci says.
Vaccine, and is it safe for him to go in the house?
How can Santa Claus safely give out presents with COVID-19 spreading everywhere? How can he do it?
Will Santa still be able to visit me in coronavirus season? What if he can't go to anyone's house or near his reindeer?
Why is he talking that way? Here we go.
I have to say I took care of that for you because I was worried that you'd all be upset. So what I did a little while ago, I took a trip up there to the North Pole. I went there and I vaccinated Santa Claus myself. I measured his level of immunity and he is good to go. He can come down the chimney. Yeah. He can leave the presents. He can leave, and you have nothing to worry about.
Really?
Santa Claus is good to go.
Good to go, Dr. Fauci. Thank you. He inoculated Santa, Jesse. He went to the North Pole.
I'm so thankful. Thank you.
He can come to your house and drop stuff off, and you're not going to get sick.
Christmas isn't canceled.
Christmas isn't canceled. Your parents will definitely still be able to go to Walmart, a big box retailer, and get your stuff, even though those little guys aren't going to be able to stay open much longer. Dr. Fauci's going to make sure of that, but Santa got his shot, his jab.
Yeah, I'm not sure if some of these kids are even going to have a Christmas next year. If we continue with these shutdowns and people lose jobs and stay out of work, and $600 is just it's toilet paper to these people.
Well, that is getting to the next subject. He's talking about the $600 toilet paper. Folks, the spending omnibus giant bill package is finally ready to go. It is not totally approved yet. I don't know if Trump's going to approve this. He probably is. He shouldn't. But after all this time of Trump, actually with a better deal that was on the table, Nancy Pelosi decides we're going to get this one through. This is Joe Biden's deal somehow, some way. I mean, imagine how petty this all is. The guy's not even president. And even if he's going to get in, how you can call this his deal, I have no idea. But they are.
No, you can't. But if, the media has been manipulating, our social construct and this whole narrative for a long time. And this is just paramount. They have no shame.
So it is. No, they have no shame. A $900 billion coronavirus stimulus package. After passing no new relief after 8 months, Trump got a combined omnibus spending bill and virus relief. Now your stimulus checks, by the way, are $600, not $1,200, cut in half. What's upsetting people and what's making all the rounds right now on social media is how much wasted money is being allocated to all sorts of bullshit. But mostly what people are focusing on, and there's way more pork to be upset about than just this, but we'll focus on this because this is a big lion's share of the money, is stimulus for other countries. And what people don't seem to understand is that while we do have struggles here, and while we have tons of homeless and underfunded agencies that help children, and you wonder why so many illegal immigrants come in because the illegal immigration situation is very slow and tedious and difficult. While we have no money here, and we do, we allocate tons of money overseas. Jesse, what was the thing you were talking about before we even put this on screen? You were saying that I think you put a post that 20% is only being allocated to actual COVID relief. What did you see?
Yeah, so 600 times 300 million is 180 billion, give or take a couple of of the population here and there. But it's 600 times 300 million. That's only 180 billion. This bill is worth 900 billion.
Right. So you did the math. Wow. So how little is actually going to people? That's a staggering figure. And, if people are wondering how does pork get in, it's because when it's a bill that's so important that they know is going to get approval, they start piggybacking a bunch of shit and throwing it all on top of it
all their
that no one looks at.
Yeah, all their earmarks.
Exactly. How about even AOC, who I am no fan of, everybody knows. But AOC made a very valid point. She's like, by the way, they didn't even get to read this. This thing is tons and tons of pages.
Welcome
and they
to
got
DC.
it. Yeah, they got it. They got it like 15 minutes before.
That's what a rookie would say.
Yeah. Well, she was almost like in awe and can't believe, but she's right, at least in this regard, which is, hey, yeah, we should be able to read this. I mean, imagine, but that's how they play. They play dirty. There's not going to be any time to review or go over it. So here's the thing, folks. If you really want to get upset and wonder why we have no money, this is from 2016. And Jesse, pull this up and you'll get a good idea of how much money we give to other countries to give you at least some sort of idea on these. The big ones are the ones we give most to. Now, Iraq and Afghanistan are the two biggest, as you can see, 5.3 billion, 5.1. Now, part of why we're doing that, and that's under conflict, peace, and security. That's war shit. You know what I mean? That's why they're so high on that list. But look who else is in the conflict, peace, and security. Israel, our ally, so to speak, gets 3.1 billion. They certainly don't need that much money, but they are one of our allies that I guess they're on the take with us. Egypt gets $1 billion of our money. Imagine that. And then Sudan, 138 million, 144 million. All these African countries, Niger, Mali, Tunisia, all African. Ukraine gets 525 million. Why do they get it? Well, they're part of the anti-Russia brigade, so we have to make sure that Ukraine gets money. Pretty interesting. So lots of these are in the red, and then the pink ones are population policies and reproductive health. What the fuck that even means, but we're giving all of these are minimum 100 million, 261. Zambia gets almost $500 million. Zambia is getting $500 million for population policy, as if we should give a flying fuck. But we do. If you add all of that up, and I dare you to do it because you'd probably throw up in your mouth, you should be very, very upset about how much money we spend all over the world. And there's just a good little example. You can take that in, sink it in, screenshot it, and show that at dinner when you have no money and they're banging on your door for your shit or your taxes or whatever they're doing. Very, very, very sad, the amount of money that we give to other countries. Why I'm showing you this and why we're going over this, it's actually very simple. We always give these countries money. Okay? This is not new. This is a USA problem all along. That's from 2016. Those numbers go up. They don't go down. So we buy influence. We buy everything. And then guess what? You know who's doing that? So is another country. China's doing it to us. China's doing it right now. Saudi Arabia and China, they own a quarter of this country, if not more, with their investments and cash in our banks and the such. So, I mean, it's not like we're the only country doing it, but I got to tell you, I mean, that's a staggering number. So, yeah, this bill is full of garbage, and it is quite unfortunate after all the squabbling how this is going to go, and a 5,600 page legislation. That's amazing. 5,000 pages. And no one had a chance to read it. And guess what? No one is going to read it anyways. 5,000 pages. Imagine that they can get away with doing something like that. Very, very, very scary. So, and some of this money is supposed to go to education. It's providing $54 billion to help reopen schools. $60 billion in combating the pandemic, including the purchasing of the vaccines. So of this, $60 billion of this is actually paying these companies. I don't know if you heard that correctly. $60 billion. Ooh, that'd be $60 billion for the vaccine companies. Why do you think they're making you have to take this? You know how many people are getting rich on this? Dr. Fauci's one of them. Bill Gates is another. Why does nobody care? But when Trump pushed hydroxychloroquine, one of the first things was, why is this guy pushing that so hard, huh? What do you got? You got stock in the old hydroxy, huh? And he actually faced questions regarding that. And obviously he doesn't, but even if he did, that wouldn't even sniff how much the vaccine money is going to bring in. And apparently 60 billion of this 900 billion is going to that. That is nuts. 284 billion for the PPP program, rental assistance 25 billion, food assistance 13 billion. So yeah, all over the place. Lots of money. And then, by the way, on a side note, this is all coming out of thin air. We don't have this money. We don't even have this money, everybody. So let that sink in. We are going deeper and deeper and deeper in the hole. You can go online and just put in national debt. It is a whopper. That's an America problem. You can't even blame that on Trump. That's been a problem going on for years and years and years and years, going over multiple administrations. Very, very scary. Now, speaking of also scary, jump to the Joe Biden. So Joe Biden is considered to be the president-elect, and he's not. But according to the media, he is, and according to a lot of people. Yeah, I want to hold right there while we set this up. So Joe Biden there's been a problem with Joe Biden and the media, and they're not making enough guff. How about that for a 50s term? Not enough guff about it. But Joe Biden, I don't know if you noticed, Jesse, he doesn't talk to the media. Trump was like overload. The guy was always having conferences. Every day this guy was accessible. Joe Biden is he not in hiding in his basement anymore, but he refuses to take any questions. He never does. He refuses. He just did a sit down with Dr. Jill Biden on Dr. Jill, not a real doctor, even though Whoopi Goldberg would tell you that she is. And they had a really riveting sit down with Stephen Colbert. That is where now we're at, folks. Joe Biden will not talk to the media. He is totally protected. It's the media's fault for not pushing back on him, because they're like, hey, dude, we put you in office. The least you could do is answer some questions. One guy on the sinking ship known as Fox News did ask a question. You'll probably hear this. He'll turn it up. Take a look at when Sleepy Joe is going to leave the podium here, and watch how this goes.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
Do you still think that the stories from the fall about your son Tucker were Russian disinformation at his smear campaign?
Yes. God love you, man. You're a one-horse pony. I tell you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I promise you, my Justice Department will be totally on its own, making its judgments about how they should proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a lot of pressure. Okay, you can pause that. So that was Steve Doocy. Steve Doocy is a young reporter. His father is also on Fox News, who hosts the morning show on there. And Doocy is the only one that kind of presses this guy regarding anything Hunter Biden related. And I got news for you. If Joe doesn't want to talk about it, I love my son. I'm proud of my son, he likes to say. Nobody's doubting that, bro. Nobody's doubting that you're proud of your son. He said on that Colbert interview, he's the smartest person he knows as far as like intelligence quotient and acumen. He's the smartest person he knows. Oh, he's fucking smart, all right. How he pulled all this shit off, I have no idea. Oh, he's smart. But he's also very scared, because I've read the emails, I've listened to the voicemails. This guy knows the gig is up, but it's like Hillary Clinton. He's very, very protected, and they can't get anything done. Here's something to be scared about, folks. If we can't get Eric Swalwell off the Intelligence Committee after what he did with a Russian spy, who that spy was now pictured with the Russian spy. Chinese spy. Thank you.
Feng Feng.
Oh, my God. They brainwashed me so much that I just slipped that. These are not Russian spies. Feng Feng, the Chinese spy that Eric Swalwell was with, who we now see pictured with the Chinese spy that was the driver for Dianne Feinstein for 20 years. So she was infiltrated as well, both out of California, coincidentally. Very high Chinese population. A lot of people don't know this, Jesse, by the way. The number one illegal immigrant in the United States are actually the Chinese. It is not Mexicans, not El Salvadorians or Guatemalans. We know that in our region. Texas knows that. But the actual largest group of illegals in this country are the Chinese. Pretty fascinating.
No, I don't doubt it. They're getting all these huge tankers, the shipping container ships are getting bigger and bigger. There's one that can't even fit through the canal. It's so big.
Oh, really?
So it goes right to so it goes on all these West Coast ports and throughout Mexico and so forth. And they're filled with containers of illegals, and they get off and they run for the border. And that's why this border is so important, because they are capturing all kinds of nationalities. They're all coming from the southern border.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And then they just come over. The Chinese have done a very good job of doing the anchor baby. They're very, very clever at making sure to come over at 8 or 9 months and have this baby over here. California's a very, very large border, along with Washington State and Oregon. So they're coming over from this other side, and I got to tell you, they are the number one group. A lot of other Asian groups as well, but they are coming over at the largest. I think, and this may sound a little controversial, but the reason why you don't hear as much about that is when they come over, even though they are breaking the law and what they're doing, they don't typically break the law as much as once they're here. Whereas we start to see with some of these other groups, a lot of law breaking, a lot of rape, a lot of child molesting, a lot of shootings, a lot of gang warfare, a lot of drug affiliated stuff. Yeah, there you go. Birth tourism, an actual term. So yeah, it's fascinating to see, but here's the news. They're all coming over, and they all shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, they are illegally entering the country, and that's supposed to be a big no-no.
Yeah, this article is from almost a year ago. The U.S. imposes visa rules for pregnant women on birth tourism. They come over here just to have the baby.
Yeah. Just
to get the citizenship. Mm-hmm. They're not having the kids. They're not they're not conceived here.
No.
They're strictly coming over here just to have them on the soil, and that's the big loophole nobody talks about.
Yeah. That's why they use the term anchor baby. You now have an anchor. It's like dropping your anchor into the water, and like, we're here, we're affixed in this one spot. Welcome, Viva USA.
And of course, the first line, the Trump administration is imposing new visa rules aimed at restricting birth tourism, which women travel to the United States to give birth so their children could have U.S. citizenship. Gosh, the regulations, which take effect Friday, address one of the President Donald Trump's main political priorities. And because he knows we were getting exploited, all of our policies open us up to huge exploitation, and not for the benefit of this country.
No, and he did his best to deal with that. That's just that's going to be quickly reversed, by the way, too, if we have a new administration. So, listen, at the end of the day, we're still holding on. And that, speaking of new administration, that can kind of bring us to the next topic here. You got rid of Joe Biden. We got rid of that. So, yeah, leave that up, and we'll get to that in a second. We'll talk this little Trump stuff here. So let's talk a little Donald Trump. Where do things stand? Well, they keep getting more and more evidence. It doesn't seem to matter. They're not getting their day in court. There is some scuttlebutt that what happened, I don't know if this is going to be news for you or not, Jesse, but so John Roberts was the gentleman. Did we go over this last week? Maybe we did. Did we go over the fact that John Roberts, why they turned the Texas case down? I don't think we did we?
Probably not as much in depth. So
right.
I think we should go over it.
So basically, in short, John Roberts poisoned the well on the SCOTUS turning down the Texas lawsuit that many people thought was going to be the big change in Trump's luck and the future of this presidency. And what turned out was it leaked. The information leaked that John Roberts basically cowered in fear over the protesting and the rioting. He actually said that we cannot let this go through. This cannot be a thing, because if they overturn and Trump has his day, they're going to go bananas in the streets. And so as a result of that, he basically poisoned the well. It's like, we're not listening to this. We can't even, God forbid we do, we'll be forced to make this decision in Trump's favor, and that would lead to catastrophe. So we now see that the violence, the burning the cities down, the looting has actually now paid off with political clout. And that's very, very scary. So that's why we have to keep going with Stop the Steal. And that's that right there. And if that's right there. See right there? Okay. This is what we're talking about. We have to stop the steal. And how are we going to do that? Well, Trump is calling on everybody, and I'm really considering doing this because this may be the most important day you can do it. But January 6th, when the electors are supposed to get together and make this all go down, January 6th is a big day. And they are hoping for 10 million people to come march in D.C. Now, I don't know if you know what 1 million looks like. I don't know if they're going to hit 10 million. But this may be the last straw. This guy is not getting his opportunity. There are tons and tons and tons. I don't care what the media is telling you. Go to gatewaypundit.com, an incredible, incredible source highlighting all of the information that you need on the election. And I got to tell you, you're just not being told honestly. It's just a big pile of cover up on all the information that's come out, affidavits and people, the Dominion machines, now SolarWinds, another data company that was hacked, was a whole part of this. That's a whole nother problem now. We have another company in addition to Smartmatic that's being difficult. Trump had a Sunday meeting with Sidney Powell, Michael Flynn, and the CEO, who we went over this in a previous show, Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne, and had a closed-door meeting. People, folks, they're getting everything together. Here's my honest opinion, okay? First of all, if you can make it out there, go out to D.C. by all means. Trump's not going anywhere. Whether anybody likes this or not, this is going to go like this. He is not going anywhere. He knows he did not lose this. This was stolen. Biden won 17 counties in this country. There's no way he won. There's no way he got more votes than Barack Obama. There's no way he got more votes than Hillary Clinton. There's no way that in 150 years there's never been a president that got more votes their second time around in their second go around when nobody even comes out, because incumbents always win the second term and there's always a lighter voting turnout. Not this time. A massive turnout. People think that Trump may have even gotten 100 million votes. So, folks, at the end of the day, it's very, very simple. This was stolen in many, many different ways. Many different ways to make your head spin how much this has happened. So the problem is this. You're going to probably steal this if we rely on SCOTUS, if we rely on the rules. The deep state's not allowing it. I think this might really, I seriously say this, and not with anticipation or hope, this might be where the Civil War really kicks off. This might be where it really jumps off, because I don't believe this guy is leaving. I don't think he's going to just walk out knowing that they rigged this against him. I really don't. And I think it's going to be come and take it from me. And this guy, I think, is going to have to be surrounded by large swaths of security, whether it's the P-Boys, whether it's the Oath Keepers, whether it's the 3 percenters. This guy is going to have rings of protection around him, I believe. Remember, even New York has said, like, we're going to arrest this guy the moment he's a civilian. Twitter has already said, and we hit on this. Now, I don't want to say that I'm proud of myself. Twitter's already gone on record and said, we are waiting for the day, January 20th, you're done here. Then we start treating you like a civilian. They're going to kick him off Twitter. So Parler, get ready. You're going to melt down when Trump has to get on Parler and he carries all those people over to that. Because that's inevitably going to happen. Twitter will ban Donald Trump. You can mark my words. I'm saying it right now on this podcast. He will violate their TOS to the point that they ban him if he's no longer recognized as president. They're waiting for the moment to do it. But I believe it's bigger than that. I think that New York State is going to come after him to arrest him. They're going to drum up charges. You know, you got to give it to Michael Flynn and Rudy Giuliani. If you really believe in this, these people are putting their freedom on the line. Can you imagine, Jesse, that Michael Flynn just escapes out of his own legal situation where he seriously, and they ruined him, and he's off and running. The moment you drop this guy out into the public, he's off and running, helping Donald Trump try to get this back. I mean, what an honorable man. Are you kidding me?
And it speaks volumes as to why he was such a target.
He was the number one target.
Yeah, right. He's
actually Trump's biggest ally. You hit on something interesting. Trump found out now who his allies are, and they are few and far between. Yeah, you got Jim Jordan, you got Matty Gaetz, you got Ron DeSantis, okay? You got Devin Nunes, you got Maria Bartiromo, a few in the media, you got Hannity, maybe even Tucker, okay? Newsmax just screwed him, by the way. Everyone's so big on Newsmax. They just screwed him on, I think it was, I can't remember what it was totally related to, but they put out a headline that was very unfavorable to fraud stuff, and so Newsmax is no friend. And when I heard Ruddy was the comment he made about selling to Trump, I kind of knew, like, oh, this guy's not as friendly as I thought with Trump. When they were thinking that Trump was going to buy the organization, he's like, oh, that's never going to happen. We're not even trying to sell to this guy. But Trump's finding out who his allies are few and far between. But General Flynn is his number one ally. And he's now found out he's got one in Patrick Byrne, Rudy Giuliani. This guy can catch a bullet. Sidney Powell can catch a bullet. These people are putting their lives on the line. They are fucking with a cabal that is trying to take this away. Okay? And all the little people have definitely put their lives on the line. All the whistleblowers. Like I said in a previous show, these people should be immediately running for Congress. And that will lead me, and we're gonna close up the show with one final point after. I think, did we go through everything we got by? What do we got? That Kevin Green's last one. Oh yes, okay. So in all the mania, yeah, throw that up there. So in all the Trump mania, and what Trump gets in trouble for, here's the brilliant moron Alec Baldwin, who makes buku bucks apparently, imitating Trump. And I wonder how he's going to continue to do that if Trump's not in office. And he gets to tweet this. Who arrests Trump if he refuses to concede? Because Baldwin knows he's not. Who drags him out? Yeah, who the fuck is going to drag him out, dickhead? Who is going to drag him out? This is why the Civil War might happen. This guy knows it. By the fact that he's even saying this, Jesse, is quite fascinating. Very good. I like that you're working it over there. This guy, for him to say this, tells you something, doesn't it? This guy knows he's not going here. Pepper spray. What, are you going to spray him in the face, handcuff him, and then he plays his little George Floyd, little jokey, a knee on his neck, cutting off his oxygen. By the way, a knee on your neck doesn't cut off oxygen. We've discussed that before. It has to cut off at your windpipe, not on the back of your neck. Does he wheeze, I can't breathe? Or do you just wail on him like a piñata, Rodney King style, bringing up some old stuff there? A lot of people don't even know who Rodney King is. Isn't that funny? I wonder if all the George Floyd people know even who Rodney King is. The thug who has destroyed the country. What does he deserve? What does he deserve? And apparently at that point it had 1,000 likes. Okay, so this guy's allowed to call for violence and hypothetical bullshit like that. And that's okay, but Trump is getting his stuff beaten up left and right. Every tweet he puts out has some sort of warning on it and whatnot. So that's really, really cool. Great job, Alec Baldwin. And great job for Twitter to allow that to be on there. Folks, I said this before. I'm going to say it again. And this is very simple. We need the Trump party, not the Patriot Party, not the Freedom Party. We're going to end on that note, by the way. Not the Patriot Party, not the Freedom Party, the Trump Party, like the Whigs. He deserves, in my opinion, he deserves to have his name put on this permanently so that when it goes down in the history books, it is his party. If you want to get rid of the GOP, you want to get rid of the rhinos, you want to see who's really in favor of Trump or not, you start another party, and 70 million plus, if not 80 million who voted for this guy are going to come along. And they think it might be 100 million. And guess what? You know how many people that are Trump supporters that didn't get off their ass and vote? So the number is even bigger. Some people just didn't get their vote in at the end of the day. So bottom line is, this guy is your president. He's going to be your president. He's going to be your president again. I'm sorry to tell everybody this. This is very, very disheartening for those that think he's on his way out because you drank the Kool-Aid of the media. But at the end of the day, this guy is going to be president. This guy is going to get a second term, and you're going to have to pull him out. And it's going to take more than just fixing it in everybody's face egregiously that you did. Congratulations with the COVID. You made it happen. You did the mail-in ballots. You're going to start a Trump party. I don't know if he does it after. And by the way, it'd be interesting if he can run again if he's in another party. How about that? Is that even something we know of? Can you run again if you're now affiliated with a whole different party? I think that should be something that can be easily looked up. I should have probably already looked that up. But I believe that Trump starts his own party and you just, that's it. GOP's done. You're going to keep hearing me say this. I say this on every podcast. I say this everywhere I go now. You put a stake in their heart, literally like Dracula, the moment Trump starts his own party, and those rhinos are dead ski. I'm telling you right now. It's over. Nobody is going to follow them. Dinesh D'Souza made a point. He's like, no, we can't split the party. It's not going to be fair, and it's going to do us in. Absolutely not. They're all going to go the other way. Dinesh, you're smarter than that, my friend. I love you to death, but you have to know, nobody's staying on board with the Ben Sasses and the Mitt Romneys. Nobody. Maybe 10%, and that's not a split. That is not a split. That's a sliver, okay? And fuck all them anyways. We don't need them. And if you decide you want to identify with that, then go build that party back up with those jack-offs, but it's not going to happen. And what I think happens if Trump does pull this off and the people follow, the Democrats, the dirty Dems, they split as well. I believe then they get the balls, and not that I'm in favor of either side here, but I believe the progressive side of the Democrats splinter off the same way from the establishment. This Biden cabinet is showing you they are not listening to these progressive jackoffs. They are not interested in what they have to say. They are in no part of anything Joe Biden's doing at all. This is all old school Obama acolytes, some Clinton acolytes. Matter of fact, a lot of people think that this is just an Obama third presidency waiting to happen. He literally has an ear line. Biden's wearing an earphone literally while Obama talks to him. Literally. So this is basically Biden's first term if he gets it. I don't think he's going to, but it's going to be Obama's third term. And that seems to be how they really put this together, that's who's going to really call the shots on this. So you got to start the Trump party. It changes everything. And then it might even give them the Democrats. And then they split. And I got news for you. That is going to be a split. The establishment Dems, the rich elitist Dems, they may not run to the progressive side. They may not run to the squad. You know what I mean? And I got to tell you, that is going to be more of a 50-50, maybe a 60-40, 65-35. Hard to say. But I got to tell you, I fully believe that then you're going to see this country's already changing. We're at the crossroads as it is. This is totally going to change from this point on. There is no more Republican Party. Forget it. Okay. And that's just my opinion, but I think it's a strong opinion. I've given this a lot of thought, and I do believe he's got to start his own party. I mean, it is imperative because you have to keep this going, and it's not going to be done on the Republican rainbow, man. It's not going to be under that umbrella. We're already learning they did not back this guy. They did not back Trump. So that's really that. And I want to close out. I used to be a big football fan. I'm not as much anymore, but I do appreciate the game, the X's and O's, and I still watch it here and there, even though I can detest many aspects of it. But Kevin Greene, linebacker he played on the Rams, he played on the Steelers, became the Blitzburg defense. He really cut his teeth, I think, with a lot of people on the Steelers. I want to just go over, he passed away, 58 years old. They didn't declare what his death was from, but this was a hell of a player. Third all time, that's 3, in sacks once they started keeping that as a statistic. And roll this, a Hall of Famer. And rest in peace, Kevin Greene. I don't get choked up over celebrities, but
starting with being around and inspiring young adults. His second passion was for all those who had served. He completed ROTC while at Auburn and was commissioned a second lieutenant in the Alabama Army National Guard. During his military career, he earned the rank of captain and completed airborne training at Fort Benning, Georgia, to become a paratrooper. Yes, he was a ferocious outside linebacker, one of the NFL's top career sack leaders, playing for the Rams, the Panthers, and the place he felt most at home, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But when he became a Hall of Famer in 2016, his shout out for all those as served will remain his lasting legacy, as all of our hearts ache for his early departure and his family.
I want to thank all those brave people that have served and continue to serve our country, from the firefighters to the paramedics to the men and women in law enforcement, those that lay it on the line every day for all of us.
God bless you, brother. Choked up.
And to our combined armed forces, all the soldiers out there and all the squids and flyboys and jarhead gyrenes, all those that stand tall for our beloved country anywhere across God's green earth. Let me say this, that my family and I rest easy at night underneath the canopy of freedom that you deploy. I am eternally grateful, and I salute you. Thank you.
Hall of Famer forever, Kevin
Amazing.
Greene.
So Kevin Greene, one of the best defensive players. Maybe pause that so that doesn't go on. So one of the best defensive players that really ever lived, and a true sack artist. If you follow football, this guy was as good as they come, and obviously somebody that was a proud of our frontline workers and a patriot. And interesting enough, he was a walk-on at Auburn. I mean, so this is a Hall of Famer that didn't even get a scholarship and was a 5th-round draft pick. So truly an against the odds kind of story. This is, a lot of these guys are very highly touted and they're high draft picks and they were big studs all throughout, their football careers. But this guy was not, and he really earned his way to where he got. So God bless the good dude die young. So what a shame. Rest in peace, Kevin Greene. That being said, folks, we're going to wrap this up. Probably a little shorter than usual, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and whatever you celebrate, God bless you, and enjoy this time of year and the holidays. And with Christmas right around the corner, hopefully you have a blessed day. And we're going to keep going with the podcast. You can find me. I'm at Mr. MisterJoshW Josh W on Twitter and Instagram. The Mr. Josh podcast. You can get it on Buzzsprout. Listen to it directly there, or any of the platforms that are all over the internet, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and all that good stuff. You can get me there. And I am now putting all my videos on BitChute. I'm going to be putting them on Rumble after that. So any way that you can find me, these are the different ways that you can find me. Again, Stop the Steal. January 6th is going to be a big day. Here we go with that right there. Get the smile in for the thingy here. Yeah, hi, look at that. And I just want to thank everybody for listening. Coming from the Space Coast Podcast Studios in Central Florida, Jesse behind the knobs and switches. I wish you a happy holiday as well, to you and yours, my friend. And we are signing off. Another episode. 3 more, I believe, to the big 20. 20 episodes in. But we're finally cranking along. Let's get this going a little more regular. I appreciate any support that comes in. And I thank you very much. So signing off, the Mr. Josh podcast. Roll it out.